So if you've seen my videos before, you know generally I'm out in the middle of nowhere, bush bashing. Today though, we've got it easy. We're on the Kepler track. This is one of the 10 great walks that we have here in New Zealand. This is right on the doorstep, like a 5-minute drive from home. So we'll just be on the track itself and we'll be looking at the forest, and I'll just share what I like to look for when it comes to forest photography. Don't really have any preconceived ideas today, but that is the best way to approach the forest. Just go in with an open mind and see what speaks to you on the given day. The forest is somewhere you can go, the woodlands, rain, hail, or shine. There's always something there. It's just whether or not you actually see it. The thing with the forest that makes it so different is compositionally, and when it comes to subject matter, it's just not obvious. That's what really makes it challenging for people. When you come into the forest environment, it really pays to slow yourself down and not overly think about photography straight away. Just get in the rhythm of the forest. The longer you're in this environment, the more you begin to see. But if you come in straight away, if you're camera ready, you generally will walk past the opportunities. So even as I come into the environment now, I'm slowing down and just being part of the scenery, not forcing my preconceived ideas onto the place. We're trying to find harmony amongst the chaos. The environment is chaotic. Composition is just aligning shapes. You think of a mountain valley, it's very obvious, you know, lining up the big obvious shapes. So we get in the forest, shapes everywhere. I'm looking for just something that stands out, a little bit of harmony, breaking things up. And typically it's just gonna be a specific tree or a series of trees which just stand out from the rest of the scene. It could be a fern, could be one tree in the way the light's hitting the tree. So it's a process of elimination with forest photography. Find the harmony amongst the chaos, you know, that main subject, what's the focal point? But then from there, we start to think about the composition. Is there foreground? What's the background like? Are there distractions? So we don't just look at what's right in the scene. You really got to slow down and have a look at what's wrong. And generally there's a lot wrong. There's a lot going on and it can actually ruin a potential image, but you just don't dwell on it too long. Just let it go. And that happens a lot here. I go, oh, that looks really good. It's not going to work. And then you just move on. A couple of standout features in this little section. This tree at the front, I love these knots on the side and that curving root coming around. Then in the middle, that's a beautiful tree with some ferns. And then there's some distant trees. There's a real strong sense of depth here. You've heard me say it a million times with teaching, but you know, if you can get something close to you, close to the viewer in the frame, and then show that progression, that diminishing perspective, it really creates a three-dimensional feel. I might get the lens out and just see if there's a way to tie these three trees in. 1, 2, 3. Unfortunately, the river's back there, but it's not standing out as much as what we had earlier. So I'll have a look through the lens now, and I'm thinking the 16 to 35 should be bang on for this scenario. And I'm thinking that will be sweet around 20 mil, 24 mil. Now I don't use any filters or polarizer. There's no light anyway, or there's gentle light. It's actually perfect, just diffused. But there's no glare or anything to worry about. And if you've seen my videos, you know I don't use a tripod. Now I could use one, but I just prefer to be handheld and connect with the subject and compose, you know, immediately. So that's why I do it. It means I can just kind of mess around with compositions like this in real time and just get the feel for what might work. Sometimes I'll even take a few frames and I'm just doing that to get the instant feedback and have a look at the image straight away. And what I'm trying to do is work with these three and figuring out the gaps that I have between. So I'm interested in the separation between the trees. Do I want this gap here on the right, and then there's a gap on that left-hand side? How close do we want these trees together, and then the height? Do I want to come up and get more separation? Do I want to come back, obviously, to get that root down there? And then I don't want the track in, so I can't really angle too far to the left. Potentially going vertical may do the job. I don't know if I like the river as well. I think what's letting this frame down is the background subject matters are just getting a little lost. So I'm shooting now at ISO 640, f13 and 0.5 seconds, and you'll watch how still I am when I shoot. And let's have a look at 0.5 seconds, if that's sharp. We'll zoom in, come and have a look at this. Alright, so this is half a second exposure handheld, and you can see we're more than fine. The only reason why it's going to be soft potentially is because of the f-stop, but that's sharp all the way through actually, and that was at f13. So compositionally, getting that big tree swooping around, and I just think that background's not really strong enough. The front tree is. I just don't know if the background's really giving us much there to take in. If anything, it would be better just as a separate portrait of this tree at the front, which I might look at now. Let's have a look here vertically. So this is where I'm just shooting, and if I wasn't teaching, you know, I would just be in the flow state now. Look how so I'm changing focal length there slightly, a bit tighter, a little wider, mixing it up, and now I review in real time. So I don't think too much before I push the shutter. I go off intuition. There's a lot of value in just working off your intuition. Then I review the image, and that's where I might go, what the heck was I thinking? Or I'm just analysing and saying, all right, what works, what doesn't, are there distractions? And I think, yeah, in this one, the downside is this tree's really cool. It's too hard to separate it from the background. I just don't think there's really a strong image there, for me anyway, personally. I just don't think there's enough going on. You almost have to get the background in. The background just doesn't really complement this front tree. One last attempt. You just can't really isolate this tree completely. You have to get some background in just because of the height of these knots on the side. Last one. Yeah, no, we're not going to keep anything there, but this is fun. This is the best part of the forest photography for me. Working the scene, working with the subject matter, thinking about it. Show you guys a little trick, some intentional camera movement. Generally when I'm doing ICM, it might be on the coast, working with water. It's really handy in the forest as well, particularly with the ferns. It's a nice scene here where there's lots of overlapping ferns. They're all relatively the same tone and colour, but it's a very static image. The ICM, the intentional camera movement, I like to use these in a different way to water. Water I pan a lot more. With the ICM in the forest, I'll do a very gentle, just a left and right shake, and it gives a bit of a three-dimensional type illusion. So to do that, we need a bit of a slow shutter speed. So in this case, I'm going to get the ISO back down to 100. I want about half a second roughly, so I'm going to go half a second, f11, ISO 100, exposure's about right, and then as I shoot, I just do a very gentle movement. That was way too much. I'll do another one, just a real slow left and right, and when you do intentional camera movement, you'll either nail it first go, or you're going to take about 100 trying to get something you like, but it is pretty fun to use. It's showing it off right there, just a bit of almost like an illusion, like an overlay, different opacities through here. You can see it pretty well. Also, just gives you that sense of movement in the image, makes it a bit more interesting. That's without doing the intentional camera movement, and then that's with. Like I said though, it's a fine line between looking good and then just looking messy. This one here, I'll just zoom in on some of these details. You can see the effect right there. Just a really unusual three-dimensional, like a reduced opacity overlay, all in camera. Yeah, not keeping those, but I might try it here actually. There's a good little stack of ferns. The intentional camera movement is definitely way easier handheld as well, because you can just quickly adjust your composition. You're not trying to be sharp, so don't worry if you can't shoot slow shutters handheld like I might do. It's all a balancing act between the shutter speed in conjunction with your movement. If you're moving fast or slow, what's the shutter speed like? So it does pay to manipulate the shutter speed a little and then adjust how fast you're moving. Honestly, I don't like any of those, but you can see how it's executed. I don't mind that one. Like I said earlier, very subjective. I feel like that really captures the feel of the forest, that chaos, but we still have the distinguished subject matter, all the fronds of these ferns without too many other distractions. You know, we're really just taking in the ferns themselves. So it just gives you another take on the forest environment. All right, so I've put the brakes on. Something's really caught my eye right here. There's a beautiful series of trees, very similar to what we shot before where we had the near and far. But this time we've got the log running through the middle of the frame as well. And in the middle, there's two distinct trees. And I think this is just going to make for a stronger image than maybe what we were trying earlier. Just having a look. It's all about that separation. How close do we want our subjects to be? And then what's the angle we're shooting at? Where are we trying to lead the eye? This front tree is a beautiful portion to put right there, off to the right, and then it's counterbalanced with these guys in the back. Thankfully there's one last layer. I don't really like working with two. I like to have three as much as possible. That creates a bit more movement than just the two which cancel each other out. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and then obviously the log is just down the bottom. So not a bad little frame here. Now I'll frame it up, huge depth of field. So what I'll be doing is shooting at least f11. So I'm going to punch everything in now. ISO 640, I'll go f11. And then looking at the exposure, about 1/4 of a second. You're not trying to shoot these forest scenes really bright. Not trying to get the histogram all the way to the right. It doesn't look good. It's just unnecessary. So even if you're on a tripod, the camera would happily give you like a 5-second exposure now. It's unnecessary. Keep it a bit faster. That way you'll avoid any blur that might be happening with the leaves. So I'm going to go 1/4 of a second, f11. Hold my breath because it is slow. And now we'll just do a little look at the image. Beautiful moss. The moss is the key star. So now that I'm looking at that frame, because I'm really seeing that, yeah, that moss is pretty special, I'm going to come back and then zoom. Instead of being at 24, I'm going to go 35. That will really amplify that moss, which I think is a good feature. 35mm. Now when I'm wider, I'll do the 24mm one again. So we've gone back to 24mm. Generally in landscape scenes, especially when you're wider like this, you focus in the mid-ground. We say 1/3 of the way into the scene, but I just like to say mid-ground. It really simplifies it. So I move my focus box to just down here, down where the ferns are. It's basically not on the front and not at the back. Quite simple. Now on 24mm, I'll do that now about there. When I check this one, we're sharp on those ferns. We're sharp on the tree at the front, and then in the back we're in focus as well. So we've got infinite depth of field there at 24mm, f11. But if we do the 35mm frame, which I think is worth doing to really bring these trees, give them a bit more size in the frame, 35mm. If I now focus down on these ferns, which is somewhat in the background now, let's just try this. 35mm. I'm going to pull out. We're sharp down there, but are we sharp on the front tree? Close, but not quite. So to overcome that, I'm going to come back a little bit. And by coming back, I'm not so close, and we should get that coverage with the f-stop then. Otherwise, we'll just have to do f16 potentially. So let's have a look now. 35mm, f11, 1/4 of a second. Angling down so I'm not getting any of that distracting sky. And all right, we've got it. So just keep that in mind. Depth of field, it's all about your focal length and the proximity to the subject matter as well. So there's quite a few factors. Consider doing what I did. Put the f-stop up. if you're reducing too much light that way, consider moving back. As long as it doesn't ruin your composition, then that's an easy way to overcome that problem. Now, I don't know if there's anything here necessarily I'll keep, but I think for this afternoon anyway, like that really does tick most of the boxes, to be honest, I think, when it comes to forest photography. So I don't mind what we've captured there. And I think for the sake of the lesson, it's really showing you guys what I like to look for, what we try to avoid, and then how to piece it all together. I think that's a nice little frame. Beautiful trees, beautiful moss, and a good sense of depth. And we've avoided most of the potential distractions, which are, let's face it, they're everywhere in this type of environment. So I'll probably process that one. We'll see how it looks, the final result. Whether or not we keep it, it doesn't matter. Don't go out thinking I've got to get a shot. Go out just for the sake of the experience. And when you do that, you really get the most out of your photography. Thank you so much for viewing this one, guys. It's been a pleasure to share the afternoon with you. If you have any questions or comments, please just leave them below, and I hope to see you in a video soon.